In a village, a very poor Brahmin lived. There was a big tree at his home, and a pair of peacocks lived on that tree. The peacocks were very wise, and the Brahmin was a simple, honest man. He lived a life of poverty and could not even take care of his family properly. But the Brahmin took great care of the peacocks, giving them food to eat and water to drink. The Brahmin had a lot of kindness in his heart for birds, and the peacocks were very happy living at the Brahmin's home. The peacocks didn't need to go anywhere for food because the Brahmin would bring food to their nest. One day the peahen said to the peacock, "My dear, this Brahmin is such a good person. He takes such good care of us, but he is too simple and honest. Because of his innocence, he has lost self-confidence and cannot care for his family properly." The peacock replied, "Yes, dear, his life is full of hardships." The peahen then said, "There are 6 sufferings in this world that cause great pain. The first is the separation from one's wife. The second is being insulted by loved ones. The third is not being able to pay off debts. The fourth is serving a wicked king. The fifth is being in the company of evil people. And the sixth is living in poverty. These sufferings burn a person's body without fire." The peacocks, feeling pity for the Brahmin, decided they should help him. "The poor Brahmin does so much for us and all the birds. We should find him some work so that he and his family can live happily," they thought. After thinking about it all night, the next day the peacock said to the Brahmin, "O Brahmin, go to the king and ask him to give you a job. Tell him that you can solve any problem that no one else can, and ask for a daily salary of 100 gold coins." The Brahmin replied, "Dear birds, I can't solve the king's problems, but if you say so, I will go." On the advice of the peacocks, the poor Brahmin went to the king's court and said exactly what the peacocks had taught him. He also asked for a salary of 100 gold coins per day. The king said, "Brahmin, do you know that even our ministers do not get 100 gold coins a day, and you want that much?" The Brahmin, bowing his head, answered, "Yes, your majesty, I will not take less than 100 gold coins." The minister, seeing the Brahmin's dark complexion, weak body, and worn-out clothes, thought to himself, "This Brahmin looks very poor, but if he is asking for 100 gold coins, there must be something special about him." The king hesitated, but finally agreed to the minister's suggestion to hire the Brahmin at 100 gold coins a day. That evening, the Brahmin received 100 gold coins from the king, which he brought home and gave to his wife. His wife, seeing so much money for the first time, was shocked and asked, "Where did you get so many gold coins?" The Brahmin replied, "Don't worry, I didn't steal them. I went to the king's court today, as advised by the peacocks, and asked for a job with a daily salary of 100 gold coins. The king hired me, but I'm worried about how I will solve the king's problems if they arise." The peacock, laughing, said, "Oh, Brahmin, don't worry. God gives to those who are deserving. If he has given you this, he will also show you the way." The Brahmin was very happy with the decision of the peacocks. From that day on, he received 100 gold coins daily from the king's court, which he gave to his wife. The Brahmin's wife used the money to meet their daily needs, and the rest was given to the peacocks. The peacocks in turn used the gold coins for charity, feeding the poor, and providing water for the animals in the forest. With the Brahmin's help, they even started a school for poor children, so they could get an education despite their financial difficulties. Over time, the Brahmin's reputation grew, and he became respected in the kingdom. But other courtiers grew jealous of him, thinking that he received 100 gold coins a day for no reason. They doubted his abilities and waited for the day when the king would find out that the Brahmin was not worth the money. One day, the king received a challenge from the envoy of another king. The envoy said, "If you can answer our king's 2 questions correctly, he will give you half of his kingdom. If not, you must give him half of yours. If you refuse, our king will declare war on you." The king, worried about the threat of war, agreed to hear the questions. The envoy brought in a palanquin with 3 identical marble statues. The first question was, which of these 3 statues is the best? The king and his courtiers were puzzled because the statues looked the same. No one could find any difference. Then the minister remembered the Brahmin who received 100 gold coins a day and called him to solve the riddle. The simple Brahmin was surprised and didn't know how to find the difference between the statues. He asked the king to place the statues in a private room while he returned home to think. At home, the Brahmin told the peacocks about the challenge. The peacock advised, "The difference must be inside the statues. Take a thin wire and insert it into the ears of the statues. Where the wire comes out will tell you the difference. Come back and tell me what you find." The Brahmin returned to the palace and did as the peacock suggested. When he inserted the wire into the first statue's ear, it came out of the other ear. In the second statue, the wire came out of the mouth. But in the third statue, the wire did not come out at all. The Brahmin reported back to the peacock, who explained, "The first statue represents a person who hears something and lets it go out the other ear. The second statue represents a person who hears something and immediately tells it to others. The third statue represents a person who hears something and keeps it inside. The third statue is the best because a wise person keeps secrets and uses them wisely." The Brahmin returned to the king and explained the meaning of the statues, which pleased the envoy from the other kingdom. Then the envoy asked the second question, "Who is the person who lives off the dead, and who is the person who lives off the living?" The Brahmin quickly returned to the peacocks for advice. The peahen explained, "The person who lives off the dead is a priest who performs rituals for the deceased and receives offerings. The person who lives off the living is a doctor who treats sick people and earns his living." The Brahmin gave this answer to the king, and everyone in the court praised him. The king won the challenge and received half of the other kingdom. The Brahmin's reputation continued to grow, but the king became curious about why the Brahmin always went home before answering difficult questions. The Brahmin explained that he consulted the wise peacocks living on the peepal tree outside his house. The king, impressed by the peacocks, invited them to the palace and asked where they gained their knowledge. The peacock smiled and said, "We learned from this very Brahmin. He studied the scriptures, and we listened from the tree. It is thanks to him that we are wise." The king was very proud of the peacocks and said, "Ask for anything you want." The peacock said, "We want all the animals in our kingdom to live happily, and no bird or animal should die of hunger or thirst." The peahen added, "I wish that girls in our kingdom received the same education as boys. A society where women are uneducated cannot be truly happy. An educated mother raises educated children." The king agreed to their wishes and declared that animal welfare and women's education would be promoted throughout the kingdom. He concluded, "Just as a beautiful flower is worthless without fragrance, a person without knowledge and kindness is of no value, no matter how rich or powerful they are." If you liked the video, please like and subscribe to our channel and share it with your friends. Thank you.